Hello, folks, and I'm Ryan Dunleavy,
And I'm Ron Zielinski.
and welcome to today's episode of the Cubs Line Podcast. As the Cubs lost 4-3 in extra innings to the Phillies, rough ending for the Cubs. So, Ryan, any opening thoughts on today's game?
Um, you know, Tough loss, right? We thought the bats were gonna wake up a little bit more. You lose all hope in the 10th when they don't score. Your bullpen shuts them down. You score to take the lead in the 11th, and then everything just goes downhill from there. It's just a nightmare. Tough loss. Gotta get the next two.
Yep, and on that, we will go to our cards game brought to you by Mark's Card Shop. Go check them out. 914 Curtis Street, Downers Grove, Illinois. You can call them at 630-541-7441. Make sure to go check out Mark's Card Shop in Downers Grove. Thank you for being today's sponsor on our show.
Thank you.
So let's get right into it. So we're gonna do something different today. Ryan, you don't have to close your eyes. I'm gonna
Oh,
read the card so you viewers can try and guess this if you want to.
all right, let's do it.
Scott started his career with the Mets, then went to the Padres, and now he's on the Royals. But there's a twist. This guy started his career as a reliever, and then he went to the Royals, and they kind of turned him into a starter.
All right, pause the video if you have to guess. Seth Lugo.
That would be correct, Seth Lugo. All right, our next one. This guy has been a Cardinal for life. He is a left-handed bat but throws right-handed. He is an outfielder in DHs, and he represented Japan in the WBC.
Lars Nootbaar.
Yep, Lars Nootbaar. For our last one, viewers, this is a tricky one. We got started off his career on the Yankees, then went to the Blue Jays, went to the Rays, Rangers, Twins, and he's played on the Red Sox for the last 3 seasons. He's a power right-handed bat, plays right field, kind of anywhere in the outfield, and will DH from time to time.
Ooh. Um,
Tricky one, I know.
you said Red Sox, like currently, right?
Yeah, he's currently on the Red Sox. Double R's.
Double R's. Oh, Rob Refsnyder.
Yep, Rob Refsnyder. All right, so let's get into today's recap for the game. Starting off with the top of the first inning, Kyle Tucker hits a solo home run to make it 1-0. The ball was, I think it was a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, so Tucker just turned on that, and both home runs for the Cubs today were kind of no-doubt home runs, kind of like how they were in Detroit. Any thoughts on the Kyle Tucker home run?
I like them, jumping out in front. We talked about it on Sunday's show. Like, you gotta get early, put a couple runs on Wheeler, let your pitching kind of, shut the door. I liked the early run. Obviously there was nothing until the eighth, but you know, it was good homer.
Yeah. And then after that, another thing that I did want to mention was Amunda Sosa hit a ball into right field and tried stretching it to a double, but Tucker gunned him. What have been your thoughts on Kyle Tucker's defense as it kind of gets overlooked for his bat?
Yeah, I mean, people, automatically think of Kyle Tucker as a slugger, right? Nobody kind of takes a bit to really recognize what he's done in the field. And Seiya been shaky in the field his career. Everybody knows that you really can't say that he's been a Gold Glover. And I just and Kyle Tucker has filled that role perfectly. He's been such a good fielder. He had that amazing throw tonight. He had one against Washington last week. Yeah, I just think he's been a really good, asset in right field.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And then I do want to mention also in the bottom of the third inning, Trey Turner hit a single, and then Matthew Boyd picked him off. Turner was not expecting it at all. It was a really nice pickoff move, so we don't really have to talk about it. I just did want to note that. And then after that, I do want to note also great play at shortstop, or third base actually. Otto Kemp, he made a diving stop on Dansby Swanson, which could have turned into potentially a double. Runner on second with one out. And then bottom of the fourth inning, Schwarber walked, Bohm hit a single, Castellanos hit a single. So Bases loaded, no outs. Then Real Muto hit a ground ball to Shaw. Shaw tried turning too, but he only got the out at second base. So runners on the corners, one out, 1-1 tie ball game. And then Boyd escapes it with a 6-4-3 double play that gets out of the inning. How big was that double play, and do you think that was a big momentum shifter for the Cubs?
Yeah, in the moment, I did think that. But the thing is, we talk about, you know, could the situation have been worse? Could the inning have been worse? Like, it was, obviously you don't want them to score, duh. But like when they get that one, you turn the double play, you're walking off the field, you're like, oh, okay, like bases loaded, no out, one run is fine. Like it could have been four, it could have been five. Like, do I think it could have got, out of hand? No, I think Boyd could have controlled it, but I do think they could have came out, with two, three, four. So yeah, I think it was a huge play at the time. Obviously, didn't loom large, but yeah.
Yeah, and then in the bottom of the fifth inning, Otto Kemp hit a single to PCA, and then Boyd made an error trying to pick him off at third. So I believe he advanced to second base, and then Weston Wilson hit a single to Tucker to make it a 2-1 Phillies ball game, and then Boyd did escape it with two runners on, blown flat out to PCA, and then in the believe it was the top of the eighth inning, Ian Happ hit a bomb, no doubt home run, right-handed. I think that might have been like the best home run I've seen from him on the right-handed side since the Phillies game on the 4th of July last year.
Yeah,
So
I was at that game. I mean, there were two lasers. Like his left-handed home run was like in the last row of the right field bleachers. His righty home run was just like giving people haircuts. I mean, he hit it so low, it was just a laser. But yeah, I mean that thing was a bomb. 425 second deck to tie the game. Like that gives you like, a boost of energy, like all right, let's go. Like we got this. But tough to see how it ended.
then the bottom of the eighth, I mean, the Cubs are just this outfield is racking up outfield assists. So Nick Castellanos hit a single to Ian Happ, and then he tried extending it to a double, but Happ throws him out. Another outfield, like what? This outfield's
It's
playing
just
out of
yeah,
their mind defensively.
it's unreal, yeah.
Then Realmuto hits a single, but then Brad Keller gets out of it with a double play. And then bottom of the ninth, Otto Kemp hits a single on that weak ground ball, which leads to Craig Counsell getting ejected because he was out of the baselines, but they didn't call him out of the baselines. Do you think that was the right call by the umpiring staff, and do you think Craig should have gotten ejected?
I don't think he should have gotten ejected. He was clearly out of the baseline. Like again, we talk about it. It's starting to be a joke. Like he was clearly in the grass. It's a stupid like how are you going to toss a manager out for literally explaining the rules to you? This is not the umpire show. Nobody paid, to watch the umps. Nobody turned on their TV to watch the umps. It's starting to be a joke.
Yeah, and if you're Craig, I kind of see why you get ejected because it kind of boils over how bad these umpires were in Detroit this weekend and then starts off bad with Philadelphia. Two ejections in a row for Craig, but rightfully so. I think he was out of the baseline and should have been out. Luckily enough, though, the Cubs get out of it. Keller got into a little bit of trouble, but Pomeranz got out of it. Top of the 10th, Cubs don't do anything. They really could have put him away there, but they don't do anything. You got guys like Matt Shaw, Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker up. I expect them to do some damage. Then bottom of the 10th inning, they intentionally walk Schwarber to start it off. So they set up runners on first and second, turn a double play, then Castellanos grounds out. That was a huge inning by Palencia.
Yeah.
Um, that was very clutch. And then top of the 11th, Pete Crow Armstrong double into the corner. That was huge. So you're up a run. Fastest guy, probably going to get the third, one out, and you don't get anyone. And Dansby, another brutal strikeout. Like, runner on third, one out, you need to put a ball in play. I don't care if it's a weak ground ball, if it's a bunt, if it's a pop up, fly ball, any kind of way. You need to put a ball in play there. And another brutal strikeout from Dansby Swanson. I mean,
And right, where was he? Where was he at in the order?
fifth. You
Yes,
kind of
I
noticed
know
that.
you hate that.
I don't like. He should not be hitting any. He should be a six hitter or lower. No
I
doubt in my
agree.
mind.
I
He's not.
agree.
He's a great glove, but he is not a good hitter at all.
Yep.
Then Bush grounds out. So you have a one-run lead, and then Realmuto hits a single that scores a runner, and then you have two bunt singles. Then Brandon Marsh hit a bomb to center field. PCA wasn't going to get him, kind of lets up on it. Did hit off the fence though, so the Phillies take the game 4-3. Ryan, is there anything you think they could have done different on those two bunts there?
I mean, the first one, probably not. But the one where I think it was the second or the third one, Michael Bush fields it, looks, took a little too long. I mean, you just got to glance and go. He kind of fielded it, was like, and then threw it. Obviously, you're not gonna make a play there. And Matt Shaw didn't cover the bag. So it was first and second. He didn't cover the bag at third. I don't know if he would have had a play, but he definitely might have. And that would have been huge to get the lead runner. But
Honestly,
I
I would
don't.
have just taken that out at first there. I mean,
Yeah,
then you kind of can put him on, play your corners back, try and turn double play there, or no,
double play. Yeah,
play your middle, double
double play
play depth,
depth up the middle,
and
corners
then
in. Yeah,
corners in. Yep, that's what I
yeah,
meant.
yeah.
So let's get into the pitching stats. Matthew Boyd goes 6 innings, 8 hits, 2 runs, one was earned, 2 walks, no strikeouts, and this moves him to a 2.89 ERA. Matthew Boyd's been unreal, another great start. What have you seen from Matthew Boyd this year, and what has really stood out to you that's made him so effective for the Cubs?
Well, I think we've talked about it so much, right? He wasn't brought in here to be the ace, which you know, he could definitely make a case for. Um, but his ability to throw strikes, he didn't have a strikeout tonight, but he still threw strikes. Only had 2 walks. He threw 73 pitches, 53 for strikes. So 53 strikes, 20 balls. Yeah, I just think he's been able to throw strikes, given his fielders an opportunity to make plays. Like I said, he wasn't brought in here to be the ace, but he can definitely make a case for, since Shota's been out, being the guy.
Yeah, you kind of bring him in as a fourth starter. You got JMO, Steele, Shota, your top three guys, and then you bring Boyd in as kind of a four starter, a good four starter, veteran who can bring in veteran presence, help these younger guys, and he's done a very good job and probably been the bulldog in the Cubs staff. Him and Jameson Tyon.
Yeah,
So let's
I wanted to ask you a quick question. Who do you think is is the better pitcher right now? And where would you put them? Like, the one, the two, the three from JMO and Boyd.
I think Boyd's been better because he's been more consistent. He hasn't had many bad starts, but JMO did have a rocky start to the year, and he did have a couple of bad starts. He has strung along some very good starts in this last stretch, but Boyd has been really consistent. When you have Boyd, Ray, JMO, Cade, and Ben, if I had to rank those five, my number one is Boyd, but I'd go JMO two for sure. This might surprise some people, but my number three is Colin Ray. Colin Ray's been done his job, except those maybe two or three bad starts in a row versus the Reds. He's been very good. And then my number four, honestly, is Cade Horton. Because Cade Horton, even though Brown has had more dominant starts, Horton has been kind of consistent, 2 to 3 runs. He's done
Yep.
his job. So I rank Horton four, and then Ben Brown five. But hopefully Ben Brown can turn it around with two amazing starts and appearances. What are your rankings on that?
I actually I think I agree. Boyd one, JMO two, Colin Ray three, Kate Horton four, Ben Brown five. And again, the thing with Kate Horton is he does his job, right? You're not asking him for a scoreless outing. You're asking him for two, three, 4 runs, and he does that every time. He's 3-1. Obviously, we've talked about the wins and losses are not really a good pitcher stat, but he does what he's supposed to.
Yep. And then in relief for the Cubs, Ryan Presley came in for an inning, 1 hit, 2 Ks, 4.13 ERA. He did have a big strikeout and a very good inning in a high leverage situation, I would count it. Presley has looked better. I still don't give him the ball in the 8th or the ninth inning in a close game that can mean something, but he has been more serviceable than he was at the start of the year. Ryan, do you agree with that or
Completely agree. We were kind of talking earlier about um, has Presley looked better? But I just don't think you can really judge because you know he's thrown a lot of 7-0 ninth innings, right? 6-1, 7-0, and he's looked fine. But it's not a 2 to like we brought him in to be, the closer, right? 2-1, 3-2, 4-3. You need three outs, maybe even four, right? So I'm not gonna judge right now. If he comes back in high leverage situations, like if Palencia, knock on wood, but if he gets hurt, something like that, um, and Presley does, become the closer again, and then he performs well. Okay, then we can have a talk about, Ryan Presley being back, but I just don't think we can judge that right now.
one thing that you did say that I disagree with, if Palencia somehow or some way does go down, I give the ball to Brad Keller or Drew Pomeranz, not Ryan Presley.
Completely agree. I'm just saying hypothetically, I wouldn't either, right? I still need the trust back from Presley.
Yeah, and then Brad Keller comes in for an inning and a third, 3 hits, no runs, no Ks, no walks. He's at a 2.05 ERA. I mean, he continues to be one of the best arms for the Cubs, and hot take, I think he's been the best bullpen arm for the Cubs this year.
Keller?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think him or Flexen have been the best.
Yeah, Flexen's underrated though. Like he doesn't pitch these high leverage innings. He does his job. He'll go 2 innings, 3 innings, 4 innings, however long you need him. If you need him for an inning, he'll do it. And he's pitched some big innings for the Cubs and been great. The only really bad acquisition from Jed, I think, was Presley, honestly. But it was just cash consideration, so it wasn't anything too bad.
And the thing about that is, the whole offseason, like we need bullpen, we want to spend money, all that. And he does make a good move. Ryan Presley he's old, but he's still pretty good. And I don't really blame Jed for pulling the trigger on that because I didn't think it was the wrong move. You got a good closer, a certified closer for cash considerations, right? But it just hasn't panned out. That's gonna happen. That's sports. It's just a tough break.
Yep, and then Drew Pomeranz comes in for 2/3 of an inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, no Ks. Still at a 0 ERA. Another acquisition by Jed that has been amazing for the Cubs, and I really love Drew Pomeranz in the opener. Just getting those tough outs, going 1, 2, 3, doing his job. What about you, Ryan? Do you like him as an opener, or do you think there's another candidate on the Cubs who maybe can get some of those innings?
Pomeranz, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, just take a look at the ERA, right? It's not like he doesn't pitch every day because he pitches a good amount of games, right? He has some good appearances, and just look at that ERA, right? Like that should explain everything that you need to know. A 0.00.
Who do you think's your second candidate to pitch the first inning for an opener for the Cubs?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I have mine.
I think Flexen or Keller. I don't know about Keller. Keller's kind of your late inning guy, but I think you go to Flexen because he's been good. He's not a high leverage inning guy, but he'll get the job done. So I think Flexen, but maybe Brad Keller.
I agree with Flexen, but I do want to give a different answer to you. I'm gonna go Ryan Brazier. Brazier's been pretty good in his career. We got him from LA. He's stringed along some good innings. I don't think he's given up a run in a while, and he did pitch some big postseason innings, and I think he would be a good candidate for it as well, and potentially to pitch some late innings here soon. Then we'll get into Daniel Palencia. He goes an inning, 4 hits, 2 runs, one earned run, one walk. He's at a 1.96 ERA. So, I mean, that's a very bad situation, honestly. I don't really know. It's hard to go 2 innings, no runs with technically a leadoff double. That's
Yeah, exactly. You
very
always got
hard
to
to
be like
do.
the leadoff double, right? I mean, he's your closer. He's not, this isn't Aroldis Chapman where we can just be like, all right, Aroldis, we want a 10 out save. Like, you can't do that, right? If he has a good 10th, especially after the leadoff double, you gotta find someone else. Like, and do you agree? Like, I guess
Yeah,
you could have tried, an AB or two, but once he gets into trouble, you can't just keep him in with the bases loaded. Once you sniff trouble, you gotta just get out of there.
I would have went to Flexen because he has been good in extra innings and late innings.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
All right, then we'll go into the Phillies. Zach Wheeler goes 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, and it was earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks, 1 home run. Said 2.85 ERA, so he's top five pitcher in baseball in my eyes for sure. You think so?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. Potential NL starter. Um, I think yeah, I think he's one of the best pitchers in the game right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then Tanner Banks, former White Sox, comes in an inning, no hits, no runs, no Ks, no walks, nothing much. He gets the hold, and then Matt Strom comes in, one of the best relievers in the game, and the Cubs do get a run off of him, so that's kudos to them. Kudos to Ian Happ. 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned, 1 walk, and then in extra inning or the ninth inning, Oren Kirkering comes in for an inning, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Jordan Romano comes in for the 10th inning, 1 inning, no hits, no runs, nothing. And then for the win, Carlos Hernandez comes in for an inning, 1 hit, 1 run. So Hernandez gets the win on the mound, which moves into 1-0. Palencia with the loss, 2-0 or 0-2. But one thing I do want to note about Palencia is he's 0-2, but he has a 2.96 ERA. Like makes no
One point
sense.
one point nine six.
1.96. My bad. That's on
Yeah.
me.
Well, no, it explains it perfectly why the win loss should get taken away. Why does Hernandez get the win for giving up the lead?
Makes no sense to me.
He literally it was 2-2. PCA doubled off him to make the game 3-2, and he gets the win. Daniel Palencia has a 1.96 ERA through 14 pitches, 12 for strikes, an amazing outing, and he gets the loss. Right?
What would
Make
you
it make
think?
sense.
Who do you think is the 3-0 pitcher, and who do you think's the 0-2? Palencia or Presley? Like Presley's
Exactly. Yeah.
3-0, and he's
It's
been garbage this year, and then you have Palencia, who's 1.96 ERA, and he's 0-2 on the year. Like makes no sense to me.
exactly. It's terrible.
All right. So let's get into some scores around the MLB. I don't think there's anything else we really wanted to talk about that game. Kind of move past that. It was rough.
Yeah, just a quick one. We just want to forget about this one. Obviously, two painful games. Honestly, Sunday was terrible. I mean, that was probably the worst loss of the season. Today was pretty bad too. A little hope, but you're not gonna win them all. Hopefully, the season's not over, right?
Yeah.
But I got confidence that we can get the next two, even one. Just avoid getting swept. And they're playing. They're 40-26, right? So they can afford some losses. Obviously, it's gonna happen. You're not gonna stay hot forever. So that's baseball.
There is one thing that I want to ask you though. What is the difference between the start of the year to now, when they're 5-5 in their last 10, compared to the start of the year when they're like 8-2 in their 10?
I mean, right now they're just kind of running into some tough opponents, right? You know.
Honestly, I think the opponents were still tough at the beginning of the year. The difference is
Yeah, you're
the
right.
consistency of the bats. They're
Yeah,
going
that
one
that's a good.
run, seven
Yeah,
runs, 3 runs, two. Like there's no consistency. At least at the start of the year, they're going like 7 runs, 6 runs, 5 runs.
at the start, yeah. So at the start of the year, right, they would win a game 7-6 and then lose the game 9-8, right? They were hitting every game. I think they were averaging 7 runs. They might even still be averaging close to 6, but they were averaging like 7 runs late April. Um, but yeah, I agree. The bats have been way too inconsistent. Hopefully, they'll wake up soon and get back to where they once were. But like I said, you're not gonna stay hot forever. So slumps happen. I'm not too too, sad about it, but we'll see in the upcoming week or two. We got a chance to win some games Thursday through Sunday. So take 3 out of 4 against Pittsburgh, and I'll be glad.
Yep. So let's take a look around the MLB. The Mariners and D-backs are tied 4-4 in the bottom of the 11th. One out, runners on second and first. Canzone hit a 450-foot home run to tie the game. So MLB free game of the day. So I'll go tune into that as soon as we're done recording this. Reds beat the Guardians 7-4 today. The
Fourth straight for the Reds, right?
Yeah, they're on a heater right now, but still only one game over 500. The Pirates beat the Marlins 10-3. The Rays beat the Red Sox 10-8. Man, one thing I do want to talk about is how much of a dog Junior Caminario is. Only 21 years old, tearing up the league. He's been great as of late.
No, I
Anything?
agree with you. I just
Yeah.
love to see, I love to see when the young guys, are are doing really well. It's just kind of a fun thing to be like, damn, he's only 21 and he's, already doing all that. But yeah, I agree with you. It's awesome to see.
Braves beat the Brewers 7-1. Keep Chris Sale with the W on the mound. Keep pushing the propaganda. Sale to the Cubs. One thing I do want to talk about, the win stat again. 4-4 on the year
Yeah.
with a
I mean,
2.79.
that just doesn't make sense. Like it's terrible. But I do want to talk about the Braves real quick. Obviously, the Braves, past couple seasons, very, very good. They're 28 and 37 right now. Do they turn it around and get in the playoffs, or do they stay here and miss the playoffs?
I think they miss it and then they fire Brian Snicker at the end of the year. My prediction.
That's actually a really good prediction. I think that's definitely a possibility. I think if they make the playoffs, they won't fire him, but if they miss the playoffs, they will. So his job's kind of in his hands.
Which you wouldn't think so though, because he has won a World Series and he's made the playoffs. But you kind of saw about what happened with AJ Smith Schuster. He doesn't even know that he's hurt. Like he's
He
just sitting
he
there doing
doesn't
nothing.
he doesn't even pay attention, right? I mean, you could see him shaking his arm. He said, "Oh, I didn't see it." How do you not see it, right?
Yeah, I really like AJ too. I got to meet him in Chicago after his start last year versus the Cubs. Super great guy, and he was on pace to win the NL Rookie of the Year, and I really was hoping that he would. Uh, and yeah, I was really bummed that he had to get Tommy John. He's one of my favorite pitchers in the game, and I love watching him. So that was rough. Blue Jays beat the Cardinals 5-4 in extra innings. The Angels beat the Athletics 7-4. Denzel Clark, this guy, one of the weirdest starts in MLB. He is like defensively probably better than PCA in center field. He robbed another home run today. He's been outstanding, but at the plate, awful. He is barely making contact.
I know it's kind of like 2023, 2020, early 2024 PCA.
Yeah, can't hit, but his defense. This
Yeah,
guy's defense is unreal, though. I mean, home run robbery, sliding catch every day, like Sports Center top 10 every day. Unreal.
yeah,
And then the Dodgers beat the Padres 8-7 in extra innings. So a little around the league standings, the Mets lead the NL East by 4 games. The Dodgers lead the NL West by a game. So big series this week with the Dodgers and the Padres. The Yankees lead the American League East by 4 games. Funny stat, you never would have thought this coming into the season. The Rays and Toronto are the two teams that are 4 games back of the Yankees, and Boston and Orioles are down in the dumps. I thought it would have been reverses
flipped.
rolled.
Yeah, exactly. Flip that. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Detroit's up in the AL Central by 7 games, and Houston is up by 2.5 games. In the AL West. So just a little bit of that. Then in the wild card right now we have Phillies, San Francisco, and San Diego for the NL, and for the AL is Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Minnesota. So 3 teams I never would have thought would be playoff teams coming into the year, but the AL is definitely not as good of a division as the NL this year. And yeah,
Yeah.
all right,
Trivia time.
all right,
Um, I got a trivia question.
yep.
So, who was the starter for the 2003 Cubs that pitched 211 innings, had 4 complete games, but In the biggest start of his career, only went 5 innings, allowing 7 runs on 7 hits. That was Game 7 of the NLCS, the game after the Bartman game where the Cubs imploded and lost that game. Blew a 3-1 lead, and he hit a home run this game to tie the game.
Kerry Wood.
Yes, sir.
That's
That
pretty obvious.
yeah.
I was like this. I was like this. I'm like, no, dude. I don't want to look like an idiot if it's not Kerry Wood. But
Yep.
I'm doing pretty good on trivia so far.
Yeah, you are. We're
Thank you
both
guys so
good.
much for
Yeah.
tuning in to today's episode. Make sure to keep showing love and support on social media and keep watching these episodes. We really appreciate you guys and hoping to get some interviews and some more cool content in the near future. Signing off,
Yeah.
I'm Ryan Dunleavy.
Ryan Zelinsky.
See you guys in the next episode. Go Cubs, go.
Thank you guys. Go Cubs.